YouTube says it's green, so we are live. Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing? Extended Christmas, New Year's, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, couple weeks of no work break, whatever holiday you celebrate. I hope it was a good one. Welcome back to Bad Publicity. Fellas, what's going on?
A whole lot of absolutely everything. Took a turn you weren't expecting. Left and then went right.
Yeah, a lot of good holiday gaming and preparing for the end of Flashpoint.
Ooh,
Yeah,
mixed feelings there because it was such a good cycle.
it's been a fun cycle. I've enjoyed it overall. Boy, they're wrapping it up with a bang, though, aren't they?
Oh. That's what we're here to talk about. I'll tell you in a few seconds if it's wrapped up with a bang or not. But let's get into something first. Before we went on our mini holiday break, we announced a contest. Corey is giving up a alt art. What was the wall of static, Corey?
It is a wall of static.
An alt art wall of static to one of our Patreon subscribers. We took our Patreon subscriber list, gave them numbers, and we used a random number generator to pull a number before the show. The lucky winner is Chris Perez.
Hey, way to go, Chris!
Hey.
You made it, Chris! You made it!
So Chris, we'll be in touch, or you know how to reach out to us.
Hey, thank you, Chris. Thanks, Chris. You're the real MVP.
We appreciate it.
So either way, we'll be linking up, and we will get you this wall of static out to you. Thank you for everybody who is helping on the Patreon. Patreon funds bring you episodes like this one. Yep. All right, guys. So all that fun stuff aside, let's get down to business here. Quorum drops in a few days. Some people have it in their hands already, I hear. Some people don't. I know Canada is a little slow behind the States, but ours usually come Friday.
Not on everything.
Appreciate it. All right, so we're going to go from the bottom up just to put a twist on it. So let's get into this right here, right now, starting with the corporation cards. We've got Tribunal. This is a 7 res cost, 3 strength Century. Totally neutral. Fun for all. And this is pack art card. So pack art card, I don't know. Are they usually good? Burka Bugs. Subroutine. So 3 subs, right? 3 subs. And the runner trashes one of his or her installed cards. The runner trashes one of her installed cards. The runner trashes one of his or her installed cards. What do you guys think on this?
It's mimicable. 7 cost. Mimic. Not. And first blush, not a fan.
Right. I'm on the same page. I think that it being within mimic range makes it really hard to use, and also it's that they're trading, I guess, the impact of the subroutines for, I guess, a lot of them, right? Like the card could easily only have like 2 subs and say trash one of the runners installed cards where the corp would choose, but instead the text on the card is such that the runner gets to choose actually what gets trashed. So it's basically it's going to have less of an impact in that regard because the runner chooses which careful piece they want to remove from their rig that's installed, and then on top of that you can just simply use mimic to get past this. At 7, not worth.
But hey, the artwork is pretty sweet.
It's
front pack worthy.
Yeah.
But guys, so something like this here, The question I think is, are you seeing a lot of people face checking still blindly?
Okay. So
Because this seems like so where I'm going with this is that this seems like a something that you know you want them to hit in at the start of a game to speed bump them down, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that I also feel that at the start of a game, 7 credits from a corporation side, that's a hefty spend,
yes.
right?
Yeah, it's like a Heimdall.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, your first turn better be hedge fund, install this piece of ice, right? Like,
Yeah. And that's just, yeah, it's just not very impressive. I think what we're going to talk about next is maybe the same idea but better implemented. If you want something that's like a good early game piece of ice.
Oh, like if you took these numbers and swapped them?
Yeah, like what if you did that? What if you just
we'll
took
see.
those numbers and swapped them?
So, so is there the question I want to ask, like, and the discussions are, does this fit into any deck then? Is there an ID that this works best in? Like,
Me personally, I don't initially see something that jumps out. Not to say it doesn't exist. I'm sure someone will come up with something that they might find this card to be really strong in, or at least playable. But for anything that I play and stuff that I like, there's nothing that Tribunal would make a spot for.
Yeah, the only thing that could jump out in my head is, like I said, I think that you kind of want this to fire early game before they can get their pieces set up. Being a 3 strength, most Century breakers are gonna, even if it's out, like even if you're not using Mimic, you're gonna be able to kind of walk through it. But to get over that early game hump, maybe a Blue Sun could do this, because at least you could get your investment back. You know, if you fire this and it does some damage, at least you can pick it back up and get your money back for it. That being said, I don't even know if it is the best, if it's going to work in that situation. But that's where my mind went off the top. Hollis, you can stick it anywhere else? Is that weird to say?
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Tribunal.
Yeah, I just don't. Whew, thanks for clarifying. I didn't know.
Okay.
I just can't see myself putting it in. Wow, guys. Okay, I just can't see this card being slotted anywhere. I mean, the cards that we had seen previously in the meta that were high impact, that were 7 costs like this, were things like Assassin, and Assassin was high impact because the traces were trace 3, trace 5, and they were pretty hurtful. 3 net damage can be hugely impactful to the runners. The game. Trashing a program also hugely impactful to the runner game.
And the corp gets to pick.
And the corp gets to pick. When you give the runner the option to choose what gets trashed, it doesn't really do much. There's also the added negative, that, for example, if you have this card and then nothing else installed, if you have this card and the runner doesn't actually have anything else installed, you don't want this as a piece of ice they're going to face check with, as a free run. Like, it's just blank at that point, right? They got nothing actually installed. So, it's lackluster. Pretty lackluster in my opinion.
Yeah, because and that's why I think it's early game, right? Because if they have only 1 or 2 things installed, then those are the things they're going to have to lose, right? Like once you're fully set up, it's easier to make choices to see what you don't need, right? Because it's installed cards. It's not specifically saying a program, a console, a resource. They can just pick anything they want, right? Like, I've got these links. I don't really need them, boom, boom. See ya. Yeah. All right, let's move on. The next card here is Macrophage. This is 3 to res, and it's 7 strength. Codegate Tracer. First subroutine is at trace 4. If successful, purge virus counters. Next is trace 3. If successful, trash 1 virus. You can probably see a pattern here. Next one is trace 2. If successful, remove a virus in the heap from the game. Next one is trace 1. If successful, end the run. Hollis,
Yes.
Given that, yeah, Corey's already given this one the 2 thumbs up. Where does this land?
So, what did you say about reversing the res to strength costs? You said something about that, I think.
It makes the card a lot more exciting. Where you're just like, I like these numbers in these places. Even with the subroutines being all traces, it's still a low investment to create something that the runner may or may not need to deal with. But the potential, especially with like medium being like super hot right now, as being a way to multi-access, you now have another way that could interact and purge, and then maybe even potentially just take medium and just not make it a problem. Hell, NBN decks, those guys who love Arabachi attack, you have a card with 4 traces built into it.
So exciting.
Yeah, it's like
exciting.
There's a lot of really neat ideas and things that this card I feel can open up with some real creative deck builders. That I love it. I'm a big fan of this piece of ice.
I'm a fan as well. I do like the fact. So, unfortunately, we're in this weird world where the runners are at least running like, at least baker's dozen on their trace right now. So, that being said, hopefully they're not set up when this can fire. But we are also on the cusp, gentlemen, hint of things to come, where it's kind of nice to have a lot of subroutines on your ice. Because if strength is nothing, subroutines got to be something. Foreshadowing. So, and I do like the fact that this is completely neutral. I think you're going to see this as a nice include. 7 strength, 4 to get through on average is going to be is meaty, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, unfortunately, like you're going to have to try and get those traces to land. But if you can get those traces to land, this is a good answer to some of the problems that are out there, right? Like a good way to, right away you're getting value on the purge virus counters, because usually that's a full turn, right? If you're not using a card ability, right? Trashing a virus is great. I mean,
yeah, turns out those are still pretty popular.
Right,
crazy.
Because that's going to, then that's going to force them to either burn clone chips, right, to get things back that they weren't expecting. Now, the other thing that's cool is that, correct me if I'm wrong here, right, but the subroutines will fire from top down, and they resolve completely, right? So if you trash a virus, and then the next one goes, right?
Yep.
You can remove that same virus.
You're exactly right. So if they don't have a way to defend against this, you can remove the threat from the board and then take it out of the game.
Right. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. And the biggest thing is what makes this card really interesting is that you're not spending a lot to potentially impact this.
Yep.
I mean, a 3/7 is pretty freaking sweet. I mean, and I absolutely agree that I think it's a neutral, and I think it's a good, like, maybe like one of, like, throw in include, and I could even see decks that have like some heavy tracer builds and everything like that you could maybe see 2 or even 3 in a deck just to get a ton of traces to fire off in game.
Yeah, and I think
7 strength is expensive.
Yeah. Like you said at the beginning, trace opens up some good deck building stuff. Maybe in something like this, we haven't really seen it go that way, because right now, the like we said, the runners are kind of link overload.
Yeah.
But
It'd be really cool if there was a card that could fix that.
Yeah, but
stay tuned.
Oh, but right away, so question here is, where do you see this slotted? What ID do you like the best? And if we stick with that trace theme, I think old school MBN, 2 reoccurring trace credits.
Oh man, kicking it old school.
Yeah, man.
I kind of like it. I mean, honestly, I kind of like macrophage in a lot of decks.
Yeah, that's true.
It's hard to choose one single ID because there's so much anarch, and as a result, so many viruses in the meta It makes it really hard to not make macrophage very attractive. I feel like even just the first 2 subroutines are pretty darn good, because it basically means they're either going to pay a lot to break those subs, or they're going to just straight up pay 7 without me like adding anything to the traces at all. And that seems pretty fair for me to only spend 3.
Yeah.
Like, that seems super fair.
Especially giving you another way. Because if you think about, like, on your turn, if you were going to pop CVS, you're going to spend 3 to res and fire that anyway.
Right.
And now you're putting something on the board that's staying there that now can have, especially if you put it over, like, your R&D, you now have something that can be, like, a potential, like, purge. It can just be a problem for people relying on medium deep digs. Like, they have to come up with an answer to deal with it. And I would much rather them kill this card that I didn't invest a lot of money into than something else that's a little bit more important with stopping.
Yeah. Nice work. Thumbs up for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in. What's
next? Ooh, the good one. we discussed this before the recording.
NASX. What is it? The New Angeles Stock Exchange here, guys. This
looks gorgeous.
This is 2 to res, and it's got a 4 trash. Again, it's fully neutral. Fill your boots on this one. Gain 1 credit when your turn begins.
I like it. Oh, wait, there's more text? I'm sorry. Keep reading. Sorry about that. I got it.
Whatever. Yeah, it seems like what'd you say? It's exactly, if we were to stop there, it's exactly Pad Campaign so far,
it's
right?
Exactly Pad Campaign by itself right now. Okay.
But there's more.
Oh, wait, there's more. Yeah.
Okay.
Whenever you gain credits through a card ability other than the stock exchange, you may spend up to 2 credits to place that many power counters on the stock exchange. Then click trash, gain 2 for each power counter. So Corey, you want to summarize?
No.
No.
All right. Okay. So it's like a unique pad campaign, and that's great. It does have another ability, but it's another pad campaign you can put in your deck, and that's really neat. The other ability is really interesting.
But you're saying you're just basically banking.
Pretty much, yeah. You're just investing to kind of try to double your money, I guess, back in a sense. Because what's interesting is every instance of you gaining money, you can spend. So what could be neat is, let's say you have a lot of drip econ and you have this out. You could, if I have my timing correct, you could drip the econ into it. And then trash to then double that economy back out. It's really interesting wording on the card, seeing how... And I'm not saying I understand this yet. Stock exchange is a crazy environment.
I don't play the stock markets. This is too risky for me.
I'm not a broker. But it seems like that maybe if you worked up like drip econ, there should be some really interesting synergies where you could pump a lot of money into this and then make a bunch of bank off of it. But I mean, really, if you don't bother to understand what the rest of the card does, it's still a pad campaign at the end of the day, and you can run effectively 4 pad campaigns in your deck, and that's neat.
Yes.
But I have a hard time ruling on this card right now.
Why 4?
It's like it's C.
Just go straight up 6.
Well, this card's unique. Don't go crazy. Of course, if you're trashing it like all willy nilly.
No, but you can still put more than 1 in your deck.
You can.
Yeah.
But why? But why do that? Why?
Yeah. Why?
Because it's so crazy. People will be trashing them everywhere. So the weird thing, I don't know if I can get behind this right now. This is going to take a good chunk of testing, and maybe I'm not seeing something that's there in this special ability stuff. But I just, for some reason, I'm drawn back to this whole click to use. To me, it just seems that the risk is just too heavy there. Like what's the good number that you have on there where it just becomes like a must trash, right? Like, is it a must trash right away because it's giving you that drip? Is it like as soon as I put 2 power counters on it, someone's going to come after it? And then it's a click to use, so I can't like pop it off my turn. And I keep thinking about Shell Corporation, the card that was like the corporation version of Katie Jones.
Right.
And that was the same style, right? Like it was a click to charge and then a click to take credits, but that really didn't catch on as well because I think it was just too dangerous, right? Like you had to.
And it wasn't a pad campaign.
Well, yeah, I mean, it wasn't.
This is still a pad campaign.
It wasn't giving you that return, but yeah, I mean, I think this card is going to be used just for the sake of if you're using pads, then you can, like Corey said, you can have the extra one out, and it's still a great res to trash ratio. I just don't know how many people are going to be loading this thing up.
Somebody just play IG and play this in like a pad or two and just report back and let me know if it's as busted with your economy as I think it is. Because I have a feeling that when a card costs like 7 to trash and they have to like prioritize Genetics Pavilion, Ronins, and a million other cards to get rid of and Cincy's, I think that we're gonna like this is just silly. Like it can be ridiculous. Like this could actually be ridiculous. And just like net you an absurd amount of money in like a deck like IG.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Could be disgusting.
And sweet artwork.
It does look cool. I think that it does look pretty sweet.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of dad artwork.
All right, let's roll on. Next card on the list, we're getting into the Waylands here. This is 2 to res, 5 to trash. Brian Stinson. This is
Barney. It's Barney.
This is a character. It is 3 influence. While the runner has fewer than 6 credits, Stinson gains click, play a transaction operation from archives, ignoring all costs. Remove that transaction from the game instead of trashing it.
Huh. Well, when I watched the series finale, I kind of just felt like the previous seasons that I don't like. Man, Corey,
it's a great trash value at 5.
Okay, you know what? I will say that you're right, Jameson. That is fantastic. I think the res to trash ratio of the card is quite good. It's only 2 to res. Well, it's 5 to trash.
And he's an upgrade, which is also cool. He's an upgrade because you can lock him into another thing. I mean, think about so the runner has to be low on credits. But let's say they spend a bunch of money and set their rig up, and then you can just be like restructure. Brian Stinson, the restructure, gain a shitload of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there are moments where also it could be a neat recovery, but you do have to play this game back and forth with the runner and watching like their window. He's interesting. I can see some decks that like if you get early game and the runner spends all their money to kind of do like their setup, that maybe you can just have like an explosive turn where you just gain a ton of credits and now like you have some threat on the board because of the money you're sitting on. That's it. Yeah, I mean, that's all he is. He's just potentially a money engine. If he can fire, he can make you a ton of bank with no cost and cycle those economy cards. You're probably not going to always put back in your deck. So you can give another use.
And that's the thing, Corey, is I really feel that I don't think that most of the time people are reaching for those economy cards to go back in, right? Like there's other reasons. There's other reasons you're cycling, and it's either agendas or traps or your bigger, more important pieces of your deck, right?
Or all your murder dice.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, there was talk before too about how Sansan is such a defensive card because it's an upgrade, it can slide everywhere, and it's 5 to trash. That is 6 to res.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, that Sansan is pretty much that auto trash got to get to because it is that influential, can swing the game. But I feel that Brian, by himself, I figure he can come out and for 2 credits, he can probably hang out. I don't think people are going to auto hunt him down. So you don't have to initially worry about the credit limit of the runner at that moment. Because at 5, a 5 credit hit for them to get rid of him is a lot steeper for what they're getting in return here.
Yeah. Well, I think my only big worry is that like the runner economy. We talked about this in early, in different episodes, from last year. The runner economy is so powerful and so it develops so quickly now to where early game they can just amass a huge bucket of credits. And while I think Stinson's ability is very strong, like I think the ability to remove a restructure from the game that you probably wouldn't get to reuse anyway, right?
Yeah.
And just immediately gain 15, not even paying the cost for it, that's massive. But knowing the runner dipping that low just seems very, very difficult. The card's 3 influence, so it'd be really, really hard to splash anywhere else. That's obviously intentional.
Going low on money seems like a very dangerous game to play against Wayland in general.
Yeah.
It's just like you shouldn't be surprised if something bad happens after you put yourself in that situation.
Right.
You should be like, oh, you're right. I knew this was going to happen. I did this. This is actually my fault.
But
I spent all that money.
But that being said, I think it'd be interesting to play him out of faction, but at 3 influence, it's going to be hard to fit it in.
Yeah. Will be challenging. Would be a hard thing to do. Justifiably.
Yeah, but he's a card that he's going to need to get some play time, but I think he could go either way. He's one of those I feel like I could see decks that could have some interesting uses with him and make him pretty strong. So,
do you think there's an ID that stands out with him, or like keeping it in Wayland is pretty much where it is?
I mean, no, I think Wayland's where he's going to sit just because of the transaction requirement on the cards.
Yeah,
they're going to have the best use of playing with those type of operations. Yeah, cool.
Very weird though is that I have theory tested them and really tried to look at a deck building perspective where he was sitting in the Jinteki deck.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm not buying it.
You think I'm just lying straight to your face like that? I'm not saying it's working, but I'm saying that's where I took it to try it.
Yeah.
Because I think for me it was if I could fire some of those transactions and get use out of them, it can give me the real boost I need, because most of my Jinteki decks are low ice and I get the shit siphoned out of me. Right? So if I was trying to use it to just pad my pool good enough. And plus at the 5 trash, it was
but then they're going to have all that money, and so you're not going to be able to meet the trigger to fire them anyway because they're going to be more than 6 credits.
Yeah, and that's the borderline thing is like I have to be able to get it early. I don't know. It was something I was playing around with.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there in case someone does it, just so now I can be like, did it first.
Yeah.
Got me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Got him. You did it first, ladies and gentlemen.
Next on the list is the Wayland Century Tracer. This is a 4/2.
What's its name?
I haven't got to the name yet. I'm saying influence. Three influence. Veritas.
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 We're looking at 3 subs here. Corp gains 2 credits. Runner loses 2 credits. So this is basically a swing of 2 credits.
I like it.
Trace 2, if successful, give the runner 1 tag. That's pretty nice in Wayland. Or actually, do people
Yes.
call it a swing of 4? Because it's up.
It's a swing of 4,
Yeah.
yeah,
Swing
because
of
they're
4.
going down to, yeah. I like this, and even though it is mimic range, but it's a low res cost, and even if they have mimic and they pay to break it, they're going to spend 3 credits.
Yep.
So multi-sub, still taxes, good piece of ice in Wayland.
Good piece of ice anywhere else?
For 3 influence, that's a hard sell.
Yeah.
I felt like this definitely Wayland. I think Wayland's been searching for like a low cost sentry that isn't what is that? Caduceus, right? I think Caduceus was good when like kind of early, but I think especially in the last year and a half, it's just really been hard to play because nothing about it was a hard gain money or a hard in the run. This doesn't even attempt to try to fool you in thinking that the run will actually end. It just says, Wayland's going to do what Jack Wayland's going to do what Jack Wayland knows how to do. He's going to grab his friend Barney. He's going to gain some money. He's going to take your money.
So, what's interesting is that your mind went to Caduceus for this?
Yeah.
My mind went to Shadow.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that. That is a card, isn't it?
I was wondering if this was the Shadow replacement. Shadow's core set, right? But I'm just saying as the step up. So Shadow is 3/1, and the trace is 3 if successful, give a tag. So this is 4/2, trace 2 if successful, right? But Shadow can be advanced. This can't. Shadow also has the corp gains 2. It does not have the runner loses 2. So that's the subroutine piece, right? So because it's still Century Tracer.
Yeah.
So as a tagging ability in Wayland, it's nice to see.
It is.
But
I was going to say, and it comes after the gain 2, lose 2 runner subroutine. So the runner, it basically helps boost, if it would ever fire, it helps boost that trace that's available for giving the runner tag, which is cool. I mean, I think it's nice that it's synergistic within, I guess, its own damn subroutines. Like, that's pretty cool.
We just got called out in chat for our stream time. Same time as the Nintendo Switch. You guys have to have dual monitors going or something. You know what really holds me back on this piece though is I really think it could have been 2 influence. I'm comparing it. I'm looking at it to its younger brother, the Shadow, and Shadow was 1, and you automatically just jump to 3. Shadow wasn't really used that much out of faction. So I don't think that this one would have, but I think 2 would have been fair. I don't know why this sits as 3. You guys have thoughts on that influence level? Why?
I think probably because they want to keep it in Wayland. They don't want MBN to abuse this.
Because that's where I was going to say the other home that I thought it could have is MBN, but at 3 influence,
MBN just loves abusing other factions' cards. Am I right?
Just Wayland's.
Hey, you got 'em.
Just Wayland's.
So,
All right, you guys want to move to the next one?
let's do it. Let's keep it.
Sometimes
Speaking of MBN,
You
Yeah.
have to laugh at the pain sometimes.
Herald. 2.
God, there's a lot of text.
2 to res. 1. This is a code gate. If Herald is accessed from R&D, you must reveal it. When the runner accesses Herald, he or she encounters it. Ignore the ability. If accessed from archives. Subroutine. Corp gains 2 credits. Subroutine. The Corp may pay up to 2 credits to place that number of advancement tokens on a card that can be advanced. Trash cost 1. 2 influence. Is that size because the trash cost, right?
Hey, this is a replacement of Matrix Analyzer.
What?
Oh God.
You know, it was replacing it in all these decks.
Yeah.
Hollis, I like what we're doing here. Getting these old cards comparison. We have Pad 2.0, Shadow 2.0, Matrix Analyzer 2.0.
Yeah,
Let's keep this theme going.
Man,
It's pretty clear that we've also identified a lot of cards that haven't been played for literally like 3 years.
Yeah.
My initial reaction to Herald is meh. It's a 2/1. I don't know. I feel like this card will struggle to find deck slots.
You know what the thing is that these trashed ice, these trash ability ice, I feel like they only work when they're surprised. They're surprising you from R&D. Once they're down and they're rezzed, they're just garbage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So,
I guess the thing is too is a lot of the surprise ice are geared towards a type of ice you would want to be set up to break against that faction anyway.
Yeah.
Like for NBN, you want to try to prevent yourself from getting hit by an Archangel, which is already another piece of surprise ice, and like Toll Booth and things like that. You know, like you had Chrysalis, who's a Sentry.
Yeah.
Then you had Sapper, which is a barrier.
I can get behind Sapper. That was all right. That was probably the best one of the bunch.
I would agree. I could agree with that. But I feel like a lot of them, you're kind of already preparing to encounter this ice, so they're not really catching you. This one with Codegate, because sometimes people will prep barrier a little bit more. This one maybe I feel like may be able to fire more frequently, but it doesn't hurt you, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just not, me personally, I'm not really that wild by this card. I feel like it's going to able to find spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree very much with what Jameson said and what you've said also, Corey. It very much feels like ice like this tends to only really trigger when you've calculated the cost of getting into the server, but not calculated the cost of after you make it and you were to access this card in R&D, and it would be as it's another piece of ice. But even then, you know, it runs into the same issue that I talked about when you get to like Brian Stinson, where basically the runner economy is such that it's rare they're ever taxed to the point where getting into the server, they're now left with 0 credits to where this is just not going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like this card as an access card is impactful enough. Chrysalis seemed fine because 2 net damage can be hugely impactful in a kill deck.
Yeah. Trash a program off Sapper too, right? Like that's why I think Sapper was the best surprise. Like pop, there it is.
Right. But in this case, like you know, it's in the faction that doesn't really do advanceable ice very much, or at all. Excuse me. It's just Wayland that does that. So then I guess this is really only useful for agendas, and while that's not a bad thing, we already know that fast advance in general has like you have answers you have answers to hurt fast advance, things like Clot, and then on top of that, you can't score on the runner's turn. So if you advance a card in a remote server, they're probably pretty certain that is something they need to be going for. Right?
Yeah.
Even if they let the trigger.
Yeah.
In fact, this can hurt you, arguably, because if you were to pay the 2 credits to advance the card, that means you've lost money, and they still may be able to get in if that was the case, right? You may rationalize it's not even worth paying the money because they're going to get in anyway.
Yeah, well said, Hollis. I mean, how many times does NBN leave agendas for a full turn sitting out anyway?
Yeah.
Right? Unless you're trying to do that the breaking news pop, right? But but like you said, like, you've accessed this, I'm going to place 2 advancement tokens on something. Like it just seems that the advancement thing is it could have this is going to want to be used more in an advanceable ice kind of thing. And at 2 influence, I'm not sure. I mean, you already got, like, doesn't Space Camp do that stuff?
Yeah, and it fires in archives.
Yeah, right. So I don't know what's going on. What's going on with this one?
Hey, it's okay though, because MBN can get bad cards.
Yeah, touche. Okay, maybe the scales of Lady Justice or Liberty has to balance.
From
something.
time to time, they are allowed to get some.
Yeah.
That's awesome cards.
Man, listen. That scale has been tipping the fuck over for a long time. Let me just say that
My scale runneth over, man.
One side of that scale, the bottom has fallen out. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's completely fallen out. No bullshit.
All right, let's take a look at the MBN agenda. Net quarantine. This is a 4/2.
Yeah, tell me about it. What does it do?
Are you shocked? I'm really shocked that MBN gets a 4/2. Like, shouldn't it be 3/2s?
I mean,
Shouldn't it just-
4/2s only get played if they have a pretty strong ability, though.
Okay, let's take a look.
Let's see if this has one.
The runner's base link strength is reduced to 0 during the first trace each turn.
Uh-huh.
Whenever the runner increases his or her link strength by spending credits, gain 1 credit for every 2 spent.
So what you're saying is all the link pumping that the runner does, you make it 0 on the first trace, and then as they pump into their link, you make money off of that?
Yeah. But what I'm also saying is that what I'm saying is that this is a good agenda in probably a good couple months when options get rotated out.
Yes. 4/2s are really hard to fit. You're going to have a lot of people who are going to fight tooth and nail on 4/2s being bad. They're not good. There are good includes. There's better 4/2 options because they're defensible agendas. But this is very interesting. And I think if you start seeing other types of builds, I'm a huge fan of Arabachi Tech, annoying cards that like love to fire traces. This is another card that can synergize off like a type of deck like that just makes a ton of money every time you can get a trace to go off. Whether you win or lose, it's just obnoxious and taxing in other ways. It's neat. It's a very interesting agenda. I could see this if people find a way to consistently get this agenda out, or just have you score it and then switch it. I'm not saying that's unreasonable or anything, but it could be pretty obnoxious.
What was the other card that reset trace or link or something strength? Wasn't it an Anarch?
I do not recall this card currently. If chat knows what this card is, please chime in.
Describe the card again.
What does it do?
It resets the trace.
Oh,
0?
wait a minute. Are you thinking
It's old.
Hold on, Disruptor?
Yes,
Is
yeah.
it that really bad Anarch?
Yes, man.
program?
I just found it
God.
too. So yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking Disruptor. It was a program, and you had to trash. It prevent a trace. The trace initiates again with a base trace strength of 0. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Weird.
But and I see chat talk a little bit about like, wow, everyone in chat knew about Disruptor. But I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. That one slipped through us. We got there in the end, though. One team, one dream. Anyway, but yeah, even though I see some say like in the run fires, but if you can stack this with some other cards like Arabachi and stuff like that even though they may let the trace succeed, there could be other penalties and other gains you can get. So I can see some really neat deck ideas coming out of this card, but I don't think you mentioned it. You probably won't see a lot of this until rotation.
Yeah,
and stuff hits when some of the better tools are taken out of the meta.
yeah. Like so, you partner something like this with original MBN. You got the macrophage. You got this new net quarantine, you're rolling. You're rolling
right.
into a new style, and that's down the road, right? Like I said,
Yeah.
I think I really dig this ability, but it's going to be it's not yet,
It's
not
correct.
yet,
No.
Yeah.
and probably like. Do you think like obviously the trace can't, like, who cares about it resetting if you have two of these scored? But then you can just you'd be able to gain the extra money, right?
I don't think they would stack. I think
No, I
you
don't
would put the effect in play, and then that effect will just trigger.
So
You wouldn't get it for each score agenda. But hey,
There's a-
good on you. You scored 2 4-2s in one game. that wasn't Nisei Mark II.
Wow. Man,
Hollis, did you
Yeah.
have anything to say about
I
net
mean-
quarantine? Did you get your?
I don't. I agree with all of you. Yeah. I
All
agree with
right.
everything you said.
Let's take a peek at psychokinesis. This is in Jinteki for 1 operation. This is terminal. That's important. After you resolve this operation, end your action phase. Look at the top 5 cards of R&D. If any of those cards are agendas, assets, or upgrades, you may install one of those cards in a remote server. Now, this is 2 influence. Now, keep in mind, those 5 cards stay in the same order. With the 1 removed, go back on top.
So I like this card. Why I like this card is it's some interesting information. So you'll be able to see the top 5 cards of your deck and know what's coming. You don't have to create a new server with this. So if you've already built up some sort of like a remote, you can install into it. Or if you're playing almost like a shell game style, it's just a way for you to look, know what's coming up, know how your R&D is going to be stacked from invasion by the runner, and then find something to pull and install out. And you don't have to take anything. It's interesting. I like it, but I feel like it could struggle to find a spot in decks. What card do you replace this?
Who is
do
this
you
lady
replace this?
on the card?
I don't know.
Because she's the exact same one as the precognition, right?
Oh yeah.
From back in the day.
Are we sure?
Corset, precog, come on.
Is this not Caprice? No.
I don't think
No,
it's.
is there a barcode? I don't know.
Doesn't look like Caprice.
Chat, if you know who this is.
No, but I'm saying, right? Like precog, look at the top 5 cards, R&D, arrange them in any order. That was 3 influence.
Yes.
So it costs you an
I heard
extra
it.
influence to arrange them. This is 1 less influence, 1 more credit to install. I like this card too. I like it just because I feel if it was any other time, you would have to put this in a new server. If this was Netrunner as of old, but this is not.
It could be an interesting way to fish for a card, because like if you run into a situation where the runner is also kind of locking R&D a little bit, like they're able to see like the next couple cards down, this lets you jump 5 deep if you're trying to find something before the runner can get to it first and trash it. So there's some interesting uses I see with this card. Or like you're trying to find a Jackson, and you're like, instead of you just drawing and flooding your hand, you could just fire this at the end of your turn and be like, oh, there it is, install it, res, fire him.
Yeah.
You know, there's some neat uses this card can have as a way to kind of like save you. It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with these precog things with Jinteki because I don't know if they fit my game style, and putting a slot in is or slotting this card and finding something to take out. I think it's going to be interesting. It's real. It's real ballsy though, right? Real ballsy because it's the terminal. So I mean, if you're trying to sneak that agenda, you're waiting a full turn to do it.
Right.
But yeah,
right? And
Pretty neat, though.
it's not like I can even get an advanceable trap or something out, like, you know,
Right, but you can still throw like a shock or a snare down.
for now.
Yeah, I mean, it could be an even neat way to find a bioethics, because it's like if they go get it, okay, or find a hostile. If like you're worried about them getting APOC up, it's a way for you to dig for some of these like fail-safe assets to help keep some of these Jinteki decks alive in the game. Intriguing.
Yeah, I mean
card-
it's search dungeon techies style, right?
Correct. Yeah, it is.
I just give it two thumbs down.
Yeah.
Like I'll never play. Okay, I shouldn't say never, but I
You
will
just said
probably I will probably rationalize another card slot over this nine out of 10 times. 9 out of 10. Probably 10 out of 10 times.
That's what I think its biggest problem is going to be is getting the deck slot.
Yeah.
But rotation hits.
Yeah.
Hey man, could be some free real estate in there in those
Maybe.
decks. So
Perhaps.
you never know.
Going into the next one is probably my favorite card in the pack.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I like it.
I don't like how I'm going to pronounce it. Chiyashi?
That's not bad.
All right,
Let's do
thanks, Corey.
that. Yeah.
This is a barrier. This is an AP barrier. At 12 to res, 8
Damn.
strength, 2 influence. I love the encounter ability here. Whenever it's not an encounter ability, but it's like their front loaded AI hate. Whenever the runner breaks a subroutine, while there is an AI installed, trash the top 2 cards of the runner's stack. Then subroutine, do 2 net, subroutine, do 2 net, subroutine, and the run. So essentially, you can pretty much trash 6 cards.
For the low cost of 12 credits.
Yeah. Hey, that's
And
two
they don't have a David installed.
2 credits. 2 credits a card ain't bad.
It's yeah. I like the ice. I think the ice is really cool. I struggle to see, I mean, outside of maybe like Pilana and RP, of decks that can afford to res this. But it's interesting. I mean, obviously this is going to go into your mutation precog deck. You're just gonna mutate.
I run.
No? It's not on yours.
I run pup
No.
pup in 3 of these, so that way you're guaranteed to mutate it,
Oh my god.
and that's it. That's it.
Splendid.
No, you know what I like about this? So, taking aside that the strength, there's cards out there that can reduce the strength, and then you'll be able, if you res this card and it gets trashed or destroyed, you're just going to, it's going to be heartbreaking, right?
Yes, accurate.
Is it not?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, it is. I mean,
but I do.
there's only so few cards in the game that
No.
would completely
Stop
ignore
it.
us. Stop, Hollis! You're ruining this. they can ignore 8 strength so easily. I mean, God, you usually have to invest so much to be able to break something of that magnitude.
Right?
Man,
But that being said, I do like the fact that, so if it can't be trashed, even though you can lower strength and do all that, shenanigans, I really like the AI hate on this. I do.
I do. I think that ability is really cool, and that's what I think. This might be an interesting like one-of card in Glacier style Jinteki decks.
Do you think this is a cool enough barrier?
I mean,
To give
can you
to-
name
for-
all the other cool barriers Jinteki has?
No, I was just gonna say for Wayland to give it some love in a Blue Sun or something.
It's only 2 influence, and it's not necessarily a bad oversight target. I mean, you can net 13 credits off of it in Blue Sun.
I like it a lot there.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad.
Especially, like I'm saying, especially for that AI protection, right? So
Yeah. So it's neat. I mean, overall, I like this piece of ice.
I
think it's
do.
cool.
I do as well.
It's just whether it's gonna be able to get consistent play, or what decks are gonna be able to afford
Yeah.
it. That it's not just gonna immediately get it invalidated when it gets reds.
I wonder if my love for that AI is actually worth, or the AI hate there and the net damage stuff is worth the 12. Like if I'm really going to see that value out of it, but
Yeah.
as it stands right now, I dig it. I dig it.
Yeah. All right.
Hollis,
Moving on.
you're in this boat.
Yeah.
You got stuff to say here, don't you?
I'm gonna say that I don't think it'll realistically ever see play
Okay.
outside of Wayland. I don't think, because 12 is too much. Like we're about to discuss a card that is going to be hugely, at the end of this we're going to discuss a card that's hugely impactful to the meta, and as long as that card exists, cards like this are very difficult to ever reasonably rationalize competitively.
Okay, so then when are we looking at this pack to be cycled out? Can we start that countdown?
Yeah. Can you put the clock up on the
There
back
would need
channel?
there would need to be some bans of existing cards to make cards, because like the thing is, like the worst thing that happens is that you pay a lot for a piece of ice and it just dies very quickly, right?
Never before has that happened in the game of Netrunner.
Like that would suck. Like it sucks when it's 6. It sucks when it's 8. Now 8 is my threshold for how much I'm willing to let it suck before I'm like, all right, I'm calling it.
Really? That high, eh?
Yeah, 8 is like it. Like I'll res a tow booth or a DNA tracker and be like, okay, you got me.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
But the 12 is like, no, I'm not gonna even play. I'm not even gonna do. At that cost, I might just play another piece of ice. That costs way less. Like,
Yeah.
Roto turret.
you're not gonna get me.
So you're
gonna play your game, buddy.
You're gonna stick with Wall of Thorns, huh? All right.
Yeah.
Let's take a peek at Haas. This is violet level clearance. It's 5 to play, 3 influence. This is terminal. After you resolve this operation, end your action phase. Gain 8 credits and draw 4 cards. It's got a trash cost of 1.
And it is a transaction.
Yes.
Keywords.
Oh, so you're saying you can Barney Stinson this guy, right?
Very unlikely, but that is an option.
Where are at the end of your turn are you wanting to draw 4 cards?
Ooh boy. Well, here we go. You don't. That's the that is the catch-22 that this card puts you I don't even know. Like I can't even. Nope. I like it. I tried. I actually just tried. I don't know. Chat help. I don't know. Why would I ever want
Photo friend.
this? Like basically, this card is gain 3, draw 4.
Is it just boosting CI? Is that all we're doing?
Yeah. Pretty much.
It's the only thing in HB that has the buffer room.
Yeah. Because, yeah, it is like another CI boost card.
I don't know. You know, to me.
Oh, sorry. Never mind. Good.
To me, it was blue level was already like being draw 2 cards and it cost me 2 clicks was already at the max that I needed to be at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. At least I had a turn. At least I had another turn to do something. But this is terminal. This is terminal, man. Like.
Yeah, they got to keep the paranoia joke going as far as they can with these clearance cards. So they just got to keep making them until they get to like ultraviolet.
I don't even know
They're
anymore.
done.
red level clearance.
Yeah. No, man, that's low. Well, red.
Rainbow level clearance.
Well, without
Yeah.
spending too global sex security clearance.
Yeah. Jeez.
Anything else? Like anything else you guys can think of here? Like this?
No.
Someone in
don't have
chat.
anything.
Someone
I
in
mean-
chat points out that it's perfect for CI. It actually is. Well,
Yeah,
close,
I mean, that's
right?
it. I mean, I think it's like CI. CI will probably like it. But I think that's it. I think it's another card. It's another option for CI, and that's it. If you need another card that draws you cards and makes you money, congratulations, you got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next guy here. Sensor net
Since-
activation. This is an HB agenda 3/1. Place one agenda counter on it when you score it. Hosted agenda counter can res a biroid, ignoring all costs. When the run ends, de-res
Turn
that biroid.
the turn ends.
Sorry, when the turn ends.
Yeah.
That makes me so mad. This card being a 3/1 had me until the last sentence on this card.
What do you mean? Where it de-reses the bioroid?
Why?
Yeah.
Like why? I'm already losing. I put a 3/1. You win. You got me. I put the 3/1 in my deck. Just give me the Bioroid res.
Let me ask you this: would you like this card more if it gave you more than one counter when you scored it? Like if you maybe could have got more than just one free res out of it?
Yes. Why don't I get more than one counter? Like explain. Like it should be apparent right now in Netrunner that the most common cards that are played are going to be 3/2s, right? Everybody wants every 3/2, and then after that, the only other card that's going to get played, or the only other agenda that's like a high priority, are things like Global Food Initiative, NAPD contract, because those cards are either worth more for the corp and less for the runner, or very hard for the runner to score. Which means if you are a 4/2 that is not amazing like corporate sales team, or you are a 3/1, or you're another 5/3, you have to be good. You have to be really, really good to justify the inclusion of that agenda as opposed to any 3/2, GFI, and NAPD. Like, you have to be actually freaking good. So a 3/1 already, what is happening? What is happening? And then when you give me one counter, I'm saying, all right, well, what is happening? But then you give me the ability to res Bioroid, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, any Bioroid? So I can like res like
I was just gonna.
12 cost Bioroid? Wow.
So your honest opinion, great agenda or greatest agenda?
Nah. Why?
Hollis, I think the weird stuff is going to get is going to come out where I think someone's going to figure out something that it's
what about rotation, right? When a lot of those 3/2s go away, would you play this card then?
No.
I
would not play because I would still be able to play like, in HB, right? I would still be able to play like 2 to 3x GFI. I would still be able to play my accelerated beta test. I would still be able to play corporate sales team, or what's the other one? Corporate sales team, or efficiency committee, or there's one more they have, sports hopper, advanced sports hopper. Like all of those are great 4/2s. So at that point, I'm like, well, if I can't have great 3/2s, I want great 4/2s because those 4/2s are going to give me more money. They're going to give me more clicks.
I mean, you can res a Janus for free off of this.
you guys got to think outside the box. Think outside the box.
Man. I'm trying.
You got to be like where you have no money left and you're coming in to trash that juicy pad campaign, and then I'm like, oh, wait a second here. I'm going to use my agenda token to res a Ronald 5, and if you trash it, you're going to lose a click.
No.
That's what you used.
No, jeez.
You had to work so hard to get that token.
No.
If you rest a Ronald 5.
Well, okay,
Okay.
so what if I res an ash with it?
Stop.
So let me ask you this.
And then
me
because
ask-
that way I can save that money, right? Like the two credits that I was spent resing ash, I can use my counter res ash for free and then put those 2 credits into the trace.
There you go, man. Value.
Because you
Wow.
didn't see that coming.
Wow.
You're right.
All right. So
You
we
already
have-
scored this. You didn't see that coming.
we have ABT, right? So ABT, I could possibly res 1 ice, 2 or 3 ice, or 0 ice actually. And I res them for free, and they stay out completely. That's a 3/2. I want to make sure we're clear here. I'm trashing top 3 cards in my deck.
Is
Or,
this
sorry,
gonna
I
is this
looked
gonna
at
be an example of something you're gonna do to res Alex T4L B07?
No, I would no.
with it? Because
Never.
that my friend is also a byroid.
No.
That is
Horrible.
also a byroid.
Horrible.
Okay,
It's
so
like-
continue.
it's
I
like,
got excited for
I
nothing.
have the ability to do this.
How much to res
Right.
Adam? I love that.
Jeez. God, like I have the ability to do this with ABT, and I can get free ice. I don't get why I have the option to get a possible 3 ice installed with ABT, and that's fine. But allowing me to score a 3/1 worth less points to get a single counter to res 1 piece of ice that's already installed. That means I would have had to pay the install cost of the ice, including the click, which I don't have to pay with ABT. I would have had to score the agenda like ABT, and I get 1 less agenda point than ABT. But you telling me that I only get the ability to res 1 piece of ice, and then I have to res it afterward? And what I don't understand why it was necessary to add this last sentence. Why? It was totally unnecessary. The card is fine. The card is actually fine without the sentence. Like in playtesting, was it actually broken? If we're playing with ABT, I don't get it. I don't understand that. How is that not? Hello? Help me. Chat, please. Help. What is happening? This could have been an amazing. This could have been like the first time we saw 3/1, and we're like, that's actually really good. And while we still may not play it, it's very good. Whatever. I'm done. My rant's over. I'm done.
I want to end it on that. And just remember that you can read Ronald 5. All right, guys, let's get into some of these runner cards here. Peace in Our Time. This is pretty cool. It's an event. It's priority. Cost 1. It's 1 influence. Damn it. Play as your first click and only if the corp scored no agendas during his or her last turn. Gain 10. The corp gains 5. You cannot initiate any runs this turn. What's the thoughts here?
I dig it.
Yeah.
It's a great early game econ card where no one's really doing anything but setting up. And you're just like, I'll spend 1 to net 9. I'm not planning on running. I'm just setting up the board. I like it.
I agree.
But what's the actual like swing then of something like this? Is that like is it still is this no better than a hedge fund? Like you're gaining 10.
But you can do this from 1 credit, right? It's easier to.
I guess it's easier to recover.
initiate?
It's easier to recover from. But I mean, like you're still only gonna be up 4 credits, right? Like you've given them 5, you gain 10, but it costs you 1. So
Yeah, but if you like, let's say you do this in like your very first turn of the game. Like you don't get a hedge fund, but you get a piece in your time, and you open your turn with like, okay, 9 at 9, and now I'm gonna install my console, install this resource, and I don't know, maybe you have like a Temujin or something. I don't know. You've got all these options, but you could just set up off of that 1 card. And even though you've given the corp 5, it's still early game for the corp, and you now have stuff set up to where you could then start running on your next turn or start checking stuff.
yeah, a runner setup is more dangerous than a corp setup.
Yeah, I mean that's why if you look at on the flip side, right? What's the corp card? That like you gain money and the runner gains money. What is that?
Is that the Jinteki one?
It's the fundraiser. Like,
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah,
It's whatever. It's
fundraising
but-
thing.
Yeah, but that card, like, it's not really ever fun to give the runner money because they have a lot of ways to directly impact and hit you. Well, I think it might be a little safer to give the corp money.
Yeah.
At one influence though.
I do think fitting in the one influence is difficult, but I think that this card is very clearly advantageous for the runner side, and probably worth that one. I mean, starting the game at a +9 credit. I mean, any combination of things, gain your 9, install your Temujin, run. Like even that,
yeah,
is like disgusting.
So, chat just mentioned to you like how awesome this card is with Beth, because then you're like giving the corp money, and you're like, hey, here's Beth, and here's 5 credits. Hurry up and spend it. Yep. Or they're like, crap, he keeps giving us money.
Yeah.
It also seems like a funny card to follow up after your APOC turn. So like you apocalypse them, and then your next turn you're like peace in our time, and then reset up. That seems like a total dick thing though. It's like, hey, I know I just leveled the entire board, but let's shake. We'll be friends. Is everything cool?
Everybody's cool.
Let's take a peek at the next one here. This is Fox.
Fox.
5 to install, 1 memory, 2 influence, base strength of 1, icebreaker killer, 1 credit, break a sentry subroutine. X credits is plus X strength for the remainder of this run. Uses this ability only by spending at least 1 credit from a stealth card. We all kind of knew this card was coming because we already had the other ones. Thoughts over it over Dagger as a stealth in a stealth suite?
It's worse than Dagger. No, it's mostly worse. Hold on.
Even though it keeps its strength for the remainder of the run. And you only have to spend 1 credit from the stealth card to be able to get the pump. Gears are turning, I see.
All right, what do you got then?
I think it's still probably worse.
So look at I guess some popular like centuries you would hit, right? So let's take like
Glacier's dead. So how many people are stacking up centuries?
True. I mean, I think overall credit efficiency. Nice. I do like the just use Switchblade. I agree. I love Switchblade. I'm always a fan. Like it's expensive to put in. I think that's what makes it hurt really bad. And it doesn't have the pump swing like Dagger does. Like you still have to spend money to pump it. If you're not hitting a server where they're stacking sentries, then its efficiency becomes way worse than Dagger.
Yeah.
So
darn.
Dagger. when Dagger came out, I really loved it. But Dagger's downfall was that it had cloak to and only cloak to pump. Now there is such a plethora of ways to get stealth credits these days. I mean, if you're playing a stealth rig, you're probably doing it in Smoke, who gives you that stealth credit anyway. So you really only need one other one, and you can get rid. You got 2 pumps on Dagger. So I don't really know why you would not play Dagger. I mean, because it's in faction. So I mean, I think Dagger's the choice.
Cool. I agree. I think we all agree that right now Dagger seems like, unless you're the Switchblade guy, Dagger seems like the better call.
All right, moving up. The next one is Encore. It's 0. Play only if you made a successful run on R&D HQ archives, the whole trifecta, this turn. Take an additional turn after this one. Remove Encore from the game instead of trashing it. This is 4 influence in Shaper. I think it's important to say take an additional turn, so effects don't carry over, right? Like you have to resolve your turn first.
Yeah.
Would you guys agree? Like just because I ran R&D, HQ, and archives doesn't mean I can do another combo card after that. Like next turn I'm gonna notoriety twice, right? Like you still have to. It's still a separate turn.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that being said, it's still a full another turn after your turn.
I think it's neat. I mean, Shaper has enough extra click enabler cards or make an extra run enabling cards to make this card easier than some people probably think to fire. And I think it could be very interesting one of include, or even some decks that use things like Hyperdriver and Out of the Ashes and stuff like that, that it could be effective. I like it.
I dig it as well. I mean, I really think it's a good card in Shaper. 4 influence for an extra turn, you're really going to have to stretch that to try and get it out anywhere else. But shit, I mean, Shaper can do that. Shaper can run that stuff no problems, right? They've got enough stuff to.
I feel like also, you know, like you said, not only do they have enough stuff, there's also just in addition, there's just a lot of card support that may encourage making runs on 3 centrals, right? Like Shaper has the R&D access. They can have a Temujin that encourages the run on HQ or archives. They can have another card like legwork or whatever whatever they want really to hit HQ if they want to specify HQ. I mean, I can see turns where you go, well, I'll access R&D with my RDI or whatever, I'll legwork, and then I'll hit Temujin on archives, and I'll take an extra turn afterward. And I'll just do whatever I need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty sweet.
Really cool. I think sitting there, even as a one of in your Shaper deck, I think you're winning. Winning.
Hashtag
is that
encore.
Is that encoring?
All right.
All right. Jameson.
I just always think I don't know if you guys have it, but in our Lotto, you play Encore on Lotto 649, the Canadian one. You ask for Encore, and they give you the free play.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
we don't have that in the States.
Yeah. It's not. I don't have anything Powerball related to the Encore thing. Let's get into criminals. Criminals here. Aaron. This guy is Aaron Marin. This guy is 2 to. It's just so comical. That's why I didn't say his last name. It's 2 to put into play. It's 2 influence. This is a connection. Whenever an agenda is scored or stolen, place 2 power counters on Aaron. Hosted power counter will get you remove 1 tag and draw 1 card.
Yeah. Yeah. Hollis is summing it up. Pretty this applause
that
to
meme
this card.
that meme where Dwayne Johnson is clapping at the wrestling match is like remarkable. Yes, remarkable. Yes.
Yeah. This is great.
It's a really good card. Really good card.
Yeah.
We're in the Aaron Marin meta. The Aaron Marin.
Hey, the Aaron.
Hey, Rom.
Hey, but so you know you got 2 2 power counters on here.
Remember that episode? Everyone at Bad Pub just broke down over a card name. It's good to keep it together.
Hey, so you can use power counters off turn, right?
Yes.
But we're not avoiding tags.
Correct.
All right, so this is going to be. Will this be everywhere? in Criminal?
I don't see why you wouldn't play with at least a
Yeah.
simpleton of him.
Is this some of the
Not-
best tag remove we've seen?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Even
I
that,
mean-
even with that new one that at the end of their turn, what's that guy?
Are you talking about the
Citadel
The
Sanctuary?
yeah.
yeah. No, this is better.
This is better, I think. Corey thinks also.
Corey thinks. Corey
I know.
thinks.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
It's
All right.
It's the 24/7 breaking news prevention. Like that's what makes it good. Like if Aaron Marin, gosh, it's like we know that's not how you pronounce it. If Aaron Moran, right? If Aaron Moran is played, if he's in play and they score breaking news, there is no way that you ever take those tags like that. Like because the Jin scored, you get your counters, and now you know what? We're just gonna stop this right now. We're not even gonna respect your play coming up here. I don't know.
Right.
I'm
just gonna
totally
take these tags away, and I'm just gonna put some more cards in my hand.
I'm gonna be totally disrespectful immediately after you score that. Like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah, right. Like not only does it remove a tag, but you're getting a card from it too. So
Right. And then in cases where they're not even trying to tag you, I mean, you just get it just enhances other tools. If you want to siphon, you can siphon, seal an agenda, siphon, and now just remove the tags off click.
The thing that's really funny too is it's also really neat if you man up through a data raven, take the tag, and then steal an agenda.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do just
Yeah.
like, sweet, I'm just gonna remove that tag
Gonna-
and then draw a card.
We're just gonna be disrespectful right here. God, it's disrespectful, man. Disrespectful ass card.
Yeah, I love it.
Disrespectful.
punk ass card.
Punk ass disrespectful Aaron over here.
Young.
Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah,
Just
kids,
over here.
man, kids.
Yeah. I like it. He's real sweet.
All right. Let's plow to the next one here. We got Tracker.
He does all the business with Los Pistoleros.
Yeah. Is that what it? Oh yeah. You want to do business in Pistoleros turf? Oh man, it's hardcore. All right, Tracker. Hey, it's 0 to install. It's 2 memory. This is a program. When your turn begins, choose a server. Click, and 2 credits. You make a run on the server. You make a run on the chosen server. Prevent the first subroutine that would resolve this run from resolving.
It's neat.
Thoughts? Hey, because it's 2 programs, it can't be used in conjunction with grappling hook, right? Or would this one like
Well, no, because grappling hook
is
would
break
fire
all
break
but one.
all but one, and then that would be the first subroutine that would resolve.
So it would work with grappling hook
It would. I'm gonna say yes.
because this is you're not really interacting with the. It's not like you're breaking 2 things on the same card with 2 different programs, right? You're using this to initiate the run.
So, would you play this in Adam for HQ early game HQ pressure as something else other than his always be running?
I do like the thought of experimenting with that. I think it's neat in there.
There's that word again.
Neat. I think it's
Yeah.
I think it's neato.
He Canadian it up.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
This is one of those cards I feel like it's going to need to see some play and play around some ideas to see how effective you can make it. I think this is a tough one to immediately say like, oh, it's garbage or oh, it's really good. It's a 2MU, but it's 0 to install and you only pay credits when you use it. But I mean, ignoring the first subroutine, if it's just an in-the-run piece of ice, you're pretty much just blanking that ice and you're getting into that server.
Yeah. For 2
And
credits.
that's pretty strong. And the fact too, if anything, you're able to fire a make a run ability off of another card. So there's also some other interesting like defense things like EOP and stuff like that you're getting around because you're triggering the run off of a card ability.
Well said on that one.
Yeah.
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 Huh.
Right. And in that sense, I think it'd be a good first click in at him.
Yeah.
And
it's
he
pretty
could
neat 'cause
probably
you have to run with him anyway. So you could just be like, yeah, click run. I'll ignore the first sub. So hopefully,
and he might have the memory room right later on to
Yeah.
be able to keep this thing out there.
See that? I got the gears turning.
Yeah, yeah. But
So,
it is
this-
so. But it wouldn't. I mean, Adam always uses E3, but this wouldn't partner with there because this is prevent. This is just preventing the subroutine. So
You're
you
right.
have to know you're not breaking that subroutine. Right. So on all those other ones too, where it's like oversight and things like that, you're not breaking that subroutine. You're just preventing it, so you don't get to watch the wording. Is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, right. It's an interesting card. I think I do feel it's one of those that's going to need to see some play.
I dig it. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it has potential to have some pretty neat abuses.
You know what? That's one of the cards that I look at and I'm like, I'll just wait till Chris Hankes figures this out. Because that screams it. We got the tapeworm here. Is the next criminal card. It's 0 again to install, but this is only 1. This is a little bit nicer on your memory. This is a virus. It's 2 influence as well. Install only if you made a successful run on a central server this turn. When the turn begins, gain a credit for every 5 in the corp's credit pool. Trash tapeworm if they purge viruses. So you got another virus here in the criminal world. Thoughts on this guy?
I feel like criminal has enough guaranteed money, or money that they're more likely to be able to fire, that they're probably not going to want to play with this very situational money and something that the corp, if they really wanted to, can deny it. But it is another virus that could. I don't even know if Anarch would even play with this.
That art is very virusy too. Like, yeah, it's creepy as shit.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's tough for me to pass judgment on this right now because I mean a virus card always has room for abuse somewhere.
True.
But I don't know who plays this card.
I'm always leery too on these ones that it based off something else, right? Gain $1 for every 5 in the corpse credit pool. Right? Like you think it should be, you think it, like, I wonder, because I always kind of have to start thinking, like, how much am I going to get off this? Like, what is the return on investment here?
Right, that I could just play a Temujin.
Yeah, right? And I mean, not return on investment as the sake of people are like, Jameson, it's 0 to install. Like, already your investment is good. But I just mean...
You have to make a successful run on a central before you can install it.
I'm talking about the return on investment as a card slot in the deck, right? Like, because because like we were saying, the options that are already available for criminal has some of the, you have all the neutral burst available to you. You have all the criminal awesome stuff. You got the siphons, the Temujins, don't forget about bank jobs, right? Like, you just got money, right? Like, and I don't know if this, because I always find criminal struggles with MU, right? And
yeah, I agree.
Don't know. I don't know if this is one of those things where it had to be put in a different faction to balance it out, so just Noise wouldn't get another virus. Interesting card here is the Recon Drone. It's 1 to put into play as a hardware. 3 influence. Whew. You're thinking it must be good for 3 influence, but let's take a look. X amount of credits and a trash prevent X damage from a card currently being accessed.
So what's cool about this is it's any type of damage.
Mm-hmm.
But it has to be damage from a card that you're accessing.
Yeah.
But it is a way for you to be safe if you're worried about cerebral. Or you hit that snare, you hit that fetal. You can deal with that type of damage. You can even deal with the meat off a Prisec. It's I like it because it's a nice damage prevention card in criminal. And it seems like they definitely want to keep it in criminal, and it gives you some flexibility.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it too.
And it's a trash effect for those Geist players. Keep a note. You can make that money you invest right back when you trash it and get it from the tech trader. It's almost like that snare cost you no money. You just ignored it. And what if you had some really cool trashable card that ignored the tag on it as well? Silly.
No, I think because it can prevent. You always have to kind of give second thoughts to when it just says damage and it doesn't specify.
Yeah.
That means a lot, but I mean, you're not really accessing anything for meat damage. You're mostly accessing for net or brain, accessible traps, the Jinteki stuff. You think this is better than what Shaper has for their damage prevention?
I mean, the Shaper, it's more permanent, it's more persistent because this does have to trash itself in order to fire its effect. But I think Shaper tends to play a more like, I'm going to persistently hammer this server and dig it out, while Criminal, I think, can have more of like a bursty. I think it synergizes the way the faction plays a little bit more.
I do like it because at least it's a fact of 1 for 1.
Right.
Right? Like, you look at something like Feedback Filter where you're looking at a ratio of 3 to 1, even though it sticks.
And then you have to trash it for the brain damage prevention aspect.
Yeah.
While this can do either or, and it's the same ratio trade for whichever type. And again, it can even do meat, because there is accessible meat damage card. So you get some really neat flexibility in it. So I like it as a whole.
It's a good tool to have as the meta shifts and changes, so they can have an answer to a lot of other different things. So
Yeah,
I don't mind
agree.
it at all.
And looking ahead, where it looks like net damage may ramp up considerably, this is a nice thing for criminal players to be able to have in their arsenal, to be prepared for.
Would you guys rather have just this been, like, are you happy that it's prevent X amount of damage from a card being accessed, or would you just rather have it said X amount of damage?
That's too good.
Yeah.
I think because then they could save themselves from like tag kill and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just because we all know that that Plascrete is a rotation target, right? So
That's true.
It's a hard world.
It is going to be going. Yeah.
But runners are having such a tough time. You know, 'cause they're paying all that money to break ice.
yeah, it's a hard knock life. Hollis will be busting into some Annie, a little chorus of Annie. All right, let's get into the next one here. We're into Anarchs. This is the build up before a big finale. This is an icebreaker. Sunya is those little marks over the U. Does it make an O sound? Sonya. This is 3 to install. It's 1 memory. It's 1 strength, and it's 3 influence. When an encounter in which you've used Sonya to break all subroutines on that piece of ice ends, place 1 power counter. Now what that power counter does is add +1 strength for each counter on it. 2 credits, break a century subroutine. For what am I missing here, guys? This is 3 influence.
Strength 1.
This is 3 influence.
for a strength 1 non-pumpable Sentry Breaker.
It's
Yeah.
really going to take some time to build something up here, right? Like you really got to hope that you can, use this to break something, right? To get the power counters, right? Like
so you use it with your worm, and you slowly whittle it down to where you could then Sunya it, and you're like, oh wait, that's not a Sentry. Never mind, I just wasted everything.
I don't think there's
really
anything.
not.
I don't think there's anything much I have to say here. This is just not efficient.
And 2 credits to break. Like it's so much work. It seems you have to do the lineup to be able to break, and then it's 2 credits to break.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't see what this card is intended for.
Yeah.
I don't see. I feel like there's way better options that you could easily pick for a breaker.
We keep going then.
Yeah, man.
keep it moving.
Let's finish strong. As we move into the last card.
Hollis,
The last card.
do you have the last card up? I'd probably give you the honor of
Oh no.
bring this one home, man.
Oh,
What do we got?
What? All right. So the last card that we have yet to talk about is the card that everyone else is talking about, and that card is Cypher. I believe it's pronounced Cypher.
Cipher. You say Cipher.
Cypher. It's Cypher. It is an Anarch card. It's a hardware console. Install cost of 5, influence of 1.
Excuse me?
It has. Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me clarify. Influence
Excuse
of
me?
1.
Oh.
Its card effects are +2 MU. Once per turn, when you encounter a piece of ice, you may reduce your maximum hand size by 1 until the beginning of your next turn. If you do, the strength of that ice is lowered to 0 for the remainder of the encounter. Standard console text, limit 1 console per player. Art by Yog Joshi.
Well, this guy just got his art scene for the next couple years because this console is bananas.
Yes.
Why is it influence 1?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Why?
None of us know.
Why?
None of us know
Just
why.
in what world
I don't.
does that seem like why would you?
No one will ever have 5 credits to install this console.
Let me tell you what happened. I think that Damon was sick. And I think that they were playing a drinking game, and they were like, Damon, however many shots you take is how many pips of influence Cypher is. And Damon was like, guys, we're not feeling it. I've been out. I'm tired. I'm sick. I can only take 1. I'll take 1, and I'm leaving. I got to go home.
No, so
Base at home.
Hey,
And then I got one.
he designed it in the order that we talked them. He got to Sonya. He did 3 shots.
Yeah, he was like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I can do one more. I can do one more, and that's gonna be it. Crazy.
This card, man. So it just plays into so many things that feels like it's been a gripe in the community of like too many cards invalidating ice, making it really easy to kill ice, and then it's just like, let's make a card that just accelerates this play style. But hey, now everyone can do it. so it's not just Anarch you have to worry about it in. Would it be cool if there was like a faction that could just easily recur Parasite? Hell, I mean, even criminals like this card. It's only 1 influence. It's only 1. It's only 1 influence.
It's also that the ability is not okay. If
I mean, you have to do a lot to fire the ability. Like hold cards in your hand.
Like no, like that's what I'm saying. If
be able to have just have 1 card.
Right.
Just any cards.
We used to say how broken Desperado was, and that was 3 influence.
Yes. It would be one thing if this ability was take a random the runner must discard a card at random from their hand. Then I'd be like, oh shit, that can suck.
Or maybe a permanent hand size reduction for
Right,
a one-time.
Permanent, yes.
This is Sorry, I'm laughing at it. This is until the beginning of your next turn. So you were basically going, that ice is 0. I already have only 4 cards in my hand, so I don't care. That ice is 0. I'm just gonna break with my breaker, and we're good.
Next.
We're good. Next. And it's like
Next.
It's like what is
Hope we
happening?
didn't spend too much money on that. And I just think
Yeah,
I came from playing Blue Sun in the last store champ, and now I just see I'm gonna oversight this curtain wall. There's Cypher, it's 0, 2, 3. Go
Yeah,
F yourself.
Yeah. It's disgusting.
because in the same pack they put out that big fat Jinteki 12er. Right?
Here's the Chiashi.
I will say this.
I really it's really hard to get me to advocate for a card potentially being banned from this game, but I would honestly be 100% on board if this card was removed from the game. I feel like it's that bad. I just don't like this console at all.
You mean it's that good?
Oh, you got me there.
It's too good. But no, but so when is the official release date for this pack? Because mark your calendar 6 months from now that this will be most wanted listed. It has to.
Yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday, because for store champ season, it doesn't have to have a window. It's legal on street date.
No, I'm
So
just
if you have
saying
a store champ
I'm
this
just saying
weekend-
for the 6 months, right? It's the 6-month wait period. So since when a card comes out, so whenever the official release date, move your calendar 6 months forward. There's most wanted list material right there.
But most wanted list is going to add 1 extra pip to it, so now it's only 2.
Yeah.
That'll teach them.
Yeah, that'll get them. Now you'll pay maybe still below what this card should actually be costed for influence.
This is okay. I don't even know. All right, here's my real talk.
Yeah. Where's my popcorn?
Sorry.
Where's my popcorn?
This is the first real talk of 2017.
Go.
All right,
I'm gonna
this-
sit back and
this-
I'm gonna sit back and let this go.
Fuck. This is my real talk about this. Okay. It's very common in Netrunner when an amazing card is released that everyone takes a bandwagon of the sky is falling. I'm guilty of this myself. I've done this on multiple occasions with multiple cards. That includes Caprice Nisei, right? There's been multiple occasions where I've said this card is too strong for the current meta. It removes a element of the game that everyone enjoys. Corey nailed this earlier when he said it already felt like the members, the people playing the game, the people designing the game, had understood, and also the fact that there's other cards that have come out recently, like En Passant, that have understood that elements that remove interaction with ice hurt the game. Invalidating ice can hurt Netrunner. And while the competitive community might put themselves in this little box and say, I don't care about anything else. I'm fine in my little box and I'll play in my box because I can have fun with my local group or this competitive community I'm a part of and enjoy this little box that I'm fine fitting in. There is a group of players that are competitive, are more creative deck builders, are more maybe casual players that don't enjoy this part of the game. They don't enjoy all their ice being parasited. They don't enjoy all ice being killed and invalidated. Those things exist in the game as an obstacle. And when you remove the main corp element as an obstacle, you actually are hurting the game. So while I know that the FFG will take the necessary time they think it will take to determine where the meta sits after this card, I'm sort of hoping, out of all of the other Sky is Falling cards, I'm hoping this one is the most powerful, most devastating, or most disruptive card that we've ever had. I'm sincerely hoping that a combination of this or a Parasite or something like that is banned or restricted so they cannot be played together. Because I feel like that is the meta. I mean, if you haven't already played against a deck, a Kate deck, an Anarch deck that recurs Parasite and uses Cypher, it is the new meta. It's a strong new meta. If you aren't using Lotus Field and maybe Magnet, that is the meta. You should play those cards. And it's sad because there's answers for cards like Lotus Field because they're spooned. It's not an impossible thing. Just making a point. This is a brutal, ridiculous. This is a brutal and ridiculous card. MWO would be too lenient. I know they're gonna take their time, but this is probably the first time we're gonna see a true problem card, a real problem card.
And I just want to throw in that I'm pretty a harsh critic on a lot of the Sky is Falling cards. I know, like when Batty came out, I was in the camp of I think it's okay, it's gonna sort itself out. And honestly, most of these cards, I've been like, they're gonna be okay. Right. But this is one where I'm actually like, I'm in the this is not okay bandwagon.
No, but let's think about this for a second. I mean, I think the Sky is Falling cards are people just kind of not wanting to change their style to play the living aspect of this game, right? Where the game, like, you can't just build the same, you can't just use the same deck you had from core and the same play style, because cards come out and they change the way that the game works, that the game plays, that interactions happen, that you know.
I get that.
But the thing is that I feel like every other card in the past, there's an answer to. Caprice wasn't the end of the game. Caprice was a great card, but there was a way around it. Right? Mm-hmm. Siphon wasn't the end of the game. You just had to know how to play against it. Right? Use your timing windows. Res something up. Don't let them get enough. You know, make sure if you're playing criminal, put your ice in front of HQ right away. There was just, you know, things that you could do to play around those broken cards. I can't see a way to play around this other than don't play ice.
Right. And if you think of that logic, then congratulations, Quorum came with 5 new corp cards.
Yeah.
But seriously, I mean you're looking at the like, if everyone is playing this, the only thing you can do is go back to like the Jinteki style that you know, you've seen us publish our list, and go to damage and traps, and Wayland and NBN will just be pure kill decks again.
Yeah, and the issue is last time you had that huge swing where like ice was just getting murdered left and right. This is where you came out with like the prison decks, like the IG builds and like the hot tubs Gagarin, those decks that aren't fun play experiences as a runner. And so you run into an issue where you force people into these directions where it's like, hey, if you're going to make it unfun to play against runner deck, I'm going to make it unfun to play against corp deck.
Right.
And then next thing you know, you both are not having fun because you're building like the exact opposite. And you don't want the game to go to that state. Like, I do agree. I do think that there are, like, of course, like, I'm a black tree. I like playing black tree. So there can be like fun decks you can play to kind of counteract this. But not everyone likes to play those type of decks.
No, and I mean,
actually like to play ice.
Yeah. You know, like the only way that you could deal with Cypher is on a Hail Mary, right? You have to play a card that trashes a console, and then you have to have Arc Lockdown to get it out of the game.
Yeah. Yep. Now, I think as you move into, because they've spoiled Hunter Seeker, I think Hunter Seeker is going to be, everyone's going to have to find a way to play with this card as a way to deal with this. Because they're going to steal an agenda, and then you're just going to blow up Cypher and take it off the board. But it's the corp forcing tech and stuff like that. Yeah. I hope they come up with something to deal with this card, because it's not exciting. Right. As a whole, Flashpoint, aside from this card, has had some really awesome stuff in it, and I've really enjoyed the cycle. I think this card is like the blemish on this amazing release cycle that we've had.
Yeah.
And this is like a black spot in the cycle that I really hope is dealt with.
This is the thematics, right?
Yeah.
That 23-second bank outage was caused by this card.
But do you think it's funny because whose console is this?
Null.
Yeah, he came out at the beginning of the cycle, and his console comes out at the very end of the cycle.
Oh yeah, interesting.
Deep.
That guy, he kept his briefcase secret for so long, and we never wanted to know what was inside of it. So it's like the case in Pulp Fiction. You open it up, and you're like, oh no. Yeah, it's not. No.
Yeah. A local friend of mine is Jean. He's been showing me, just a Kate build, where the whole plan is just pretty much just utilize Cypher, and use your clone chips, use your levy, and the parasite, and just like instant parasite ice very, very easily during runs. And when I first looked at it, I was like, oh, maybe there's a lot of moving pieces, but then I'm going through it, and I'm like, this really isn't as hard as it sounds. Just taking a single parasite and saying, well, I reduced my hand to 0 by 1, and the ice is dead. I'll continue, and now I'll jack out.
Yeah,
and we're good.
But it's only till the beginning of your next turn, Hollis. It's like you can go 4 cards. I'll go 4 cards for a turn. Go.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that means there's also, I mean, in addition to that, especially in Kate, it's knowing that you have, the parasite you're going to install from hand, run, and then reduce to 0, killing it immediately. Then you can clone chip it later. It's all of these things make it difficult. Maybe people are going to run Arc Lockdown and just going to call Parasite. I don't know. But even beyond that, even beyond the parasite interaction, the fact remains is you're going to take a piece of ice that is the most challenging for you to break, that costs you as the corp a lot of resources to be able to get past, to put up a defense. And the runner just says, all right, well, I'll reduce my max hand size by 1, and now that ice cost is 0. So I'll break it with a very efficient breaker that I have, like a Mimic or a Yogg. Or
Yogg becomes ridiculous. It's like, okay, Yogg it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, those kinds of interactions are very, very powerful. And even if you don't use those, it's just still a matter of you get to reduce the cost of something like Faust. I know arguably people are looking at it and they're saying, people when we look at it and say, oh, well, you're reducing your max hand size, so breaking with Faust kind of hurts, doesn't it? It's like, well, yeah, but reducing your hand size isn't losing your card, and if you're using Faust, you're helping reduce that hand size.
Correct. You have to get rid of the card anyway, so why not use it to break a subroutine on the ice?
Right.
I think it's just, I mean, if you think about Ice 2's game popularity, like DNA Tracker, like this is pretty much what the runner has to do if they have Cypher and Yogg installed. I break your DNA Tracker.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Right. Like you can't even purge. Like that's the thing.
Here you go.
Even even if corp, if you run protect, if you run the macrophage, or you run CVS, right? I mean, the fact remains is that the runner's things, because when the runner's making the run, the parasite and the Cypher interaction will occur before your abilities ever fire. So that means that you're going to kill the ice before the effects that would allow you to get rid of the parasite or whatever what have you are going to ever fire. Like the ice will die before any tool you have to purge and remove viruses work. Like it won't happen.
Yeah.
I really like the fact about, from a positive aspect, I like the fact that the design space has moved to something like this. Reduce your hand size, or to play with the hand size to get you a benefit, something we haven't really seen before. So I think it's kudos to the designers and the testers to come up with something like this that plays in that space. But this is just very dangerous.
Yeah.
This is walking a razor line, and I really, really hope. I mean, I'm not the kind of guy to do it, but I can't see. Like I said, every other card had an answer, had a play style that you can change to slow it down, and adapt to it. I can't think of anything right now that even going forward could stop something this strong.
Yeah, I don't know. Gotta play those kill decks. Gotta bring back the IG baby.
Yeah.
IG back baby.
All right, guys. So that's that. That's this pack. Any other closing thoughts?
I mean, other than this, I felt like, there's some really neat things in this pack, and I felt like Flashpoint as a whole was pretty solid cycle.
Agreed. I'd agree.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
it's fun
and
times.
Let's just try to hold our faith and
We saw a lot of new mechanics come out in Flashpoint.
We shall overcome.
Pray.
You gotta do that.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you very much. Again, we just like to recoup.
Yeah, this is our first cast of the new year, and we're all just shaking off the holiday, all the eggnog, and
Chris Perez will be in touch. We'll be in touch with you, Chris. You won the
that's right.
Wall of Static
Congrats
Patreon
again, Chris.
Patreon prize. Guys, thanks again for tuning in. I know this episode stretched out because we did both Corp and Runner together.
Yeah, and I guess let us know if you were to come back and comment the video if you liked us doing the rundown of all of them, or if maybe you liked where we just kind of like picked out some highlight cards. I know this was a long episode, but we had some pretty good discussion. It was nice going over some of these cards.
Sorry if I just smashed in your ears there. Hit the mic. So also, we got some big things coming in 2017, guys. Stick around with Bad Publicity. It's going to be a big year for us as we keep moving Netrunner forward.
Yeah, some really big surprises we've got coming up.
Yeah, some good ideas, and thank you very much.
Have a good night, everyone.
Take care.
Laters.
Do fuck Cypher.